Hey folks, Brian. Good morning. We played RQG last night. Um, Two of our compatriots, Davin and Restra, had been killed by Sever Spirit spells, and Summer, who has a passion for Davin, quickly directed the party to, we need to go do a hero quest. We need to go to the underworld. We need to bring them back. So, uh, they gather their bodies and they depart the keep, and they're going through uh, old corridors to the port when they see up above some creatures. Miriam sends, or calls, little bird, little calls her owl. Hey, go check that out. So, oh, and what did you see? Because the owl was out here, spying around, and it comes back. They're scaly creatures. Somebody asked about a tail. So the owl kind of looks at his tail, swoosh around. No, they have big tails. The party at this point does not want to get involved with anything, so they divert themselves around to a different pier. And then they get involved in a summoning um, service ceremony. Because it's not a summon spell, because nobody's directing it. They're requesting it via Scylla, who is a Slira. There's some confusion on that already in the game too. Oh, which reminds me, this is all in the live play in the description if you're into that kind of thing. And they are successful. In fact, somebody got a crit. Yeah, Summer did the uh, actual worship skill roll, and everybody's augmenting her. She actually failed on her augmentation, so other folks. And the way I did is I stacked. That's what I did. I ended up stacking, right? So we had two failures, a special and a regular. So I ended up with just a -10 on Summer's worship roll, which was successful. So a naiad appears. Yeah, like I said, rolled a crit, right? Quickly addresses the party, recognizing who they are, summons the loon, and takes them to the Aslira temple in Furthest. Okay, we get to the temple in Furthest. They explain to Patira, is that her name? Patira, the high priestess there, their situation. Um, she is also concerned about getting David back as well. Nobody seems to care about a restaurant. Everybody cares about David. Um, so they go. They spend a day so they can recuperate all their magic points. They go through a little cleansing kind of ceremony, and then she takes them to a pool they have not been to before because they've been here for fertility rituals a few times already. And this pool's like a no. They get in the pool, strip off, get in the pool. The pool actually has a lid that comes down and locks, and then it fills up and it drowns them. So we go through the whole little drowning phase. Jarstigos is the last one to go under. So they wake up on a beach, and in front of them in the water is a blue woman. And there's also this other fellow there, and I forgot to roll his dance. Oh, dang. Oh, so let me pull this up real quick. So, Nick, I used a couple of scenes from your Black Spear uh, adventure book. And so we did the whole dance thing, and it was Dusty, our new player, not player, our new character, our new PC, who ended up winning that competition, and so he has an interaction with the blue lady, and it all goes black, and they wake up in hell. And for this, I have to thank Dave Larkin and his esoteric role players, whatever his group's called. Sorry, because he actually ran through the Sartar Kingdom of Heroes scenario of going through the underworld that caught my attention, found out where it was from, so I got a copy of that. And so I'm using that to run this hero quest to recover a restaurant in Davin. So I get down in the underworld. Oh, and there is their guide, because you need a guide, right? The guide there is Gammon, the crest dragonute from the Black Spear. So he's there to voice certain things and share information. And the first thing is, okay, which way do we go? That way. As they go off, they hear drums. Yeah, tens of thousands of drums. They see an army of dark trolls. And Gammon tells them, that's for the end times and the hero wars. They continue on, and they start getting chased down by the Wild Hunt. Forgot that guy's name. And so we play with the chase rules again, but obviously, these things are fast, so they're making their rolls every time. So it's all a matter of who has a failure or who gets a special or a crit to see if they can actually get away or not. Now, Star Trek Kingdom here is a hero quest, hero wars, hero quest rule system, right? So it's different. I looked at the hero quest rules once, and I just could not wrap my brain around it, so I didn't mess with that much at all. But we had, and they have difficulty levels for making things. And so did I go too far? I went too far. Is this the wrong book? This may be the wrong book. Holy cow, it is. Well, anyway, so they use difficulty levels, right? And it said, very hard to, nearly impossible kind of thing. So in my head, I was thinking, okay, he's got 100%. I should have had them do modifiers, because in the chase rules, if your speed is higher than theirs, then your speed roll gets modified by like 5% for every point of movement faster. So I should have actually done that. That would have shortened things up. But anyway, we made the rolls, and eventually the Wild Hunt catches up with them, and then we have the rune competition between. I'm going to drive myself crazy. I had it open. This had to have been it. Between the. Yeah, there it is. 344. Yeah, okay, here we go. Between Gargarth and the party, right? And so they can either chase him off with violence or with justice. And violence is air, mobility, or death, and justice is truth. So those are the runes that they can use to chase him off. And, I don't remember what I had him rolling for. I think I just had him rolling, right? Because if it was a 96 or above, automatic failure. Otherwise, it was success. It gave me like 100% kind of thing. And the way I interact with this kind of stuff, because there's a what's the word they use? It's one of those contests that takes time. It's not just a single roll, right? So the way I simulate that is we use some kind of characteristic. In this case, I used power, although maybe Constitution would have been better. But it's magical, right? So use your power. So you've got your power as your hit points for this thing, and I use the spirit combat damage for the damage you inflict. And so there's this opposed roll, and I had him oppose each of them individually. I suppose, well, I'm sure they interpreted that as all of their damage went against him singularly, but I had him individually. So they all had to, well, the first one to be able to beat him down would beat them down unless, they got beat down. And shoot, did somebody get beat down? No, I don't think so. I think they got close. But it took like 3 rounds before Juchi did enough damage to him to get him to flee. And so they fled. They did also run into the hail, the fiery hail. So that made some modifiers on their movement stuff. Yeah, the contest against very hard or even nearly impossible resistance. You're trying to get away. So that's the kind of difficulty and verbiage they use in that system that I had to try to interpret. So I just kind of went on the fly with that. Okay, so they get away from the wild hunt. They find the path of path of silence with all the dead, and haven't got to the river cradles yet. But they asked Gammon about, hey, how do we talk to? Well, they try talking to the dead, right? But the dead are oblivious to them. And so they ask Gammon, hey, how do we get these people talking? So well, you have to give them the elixir of life. Well, what's that? Well, it's wine with some of your blood. Do we have any wine? Well, everybody's got a wine skin because, your request, you got what you need. So Summer takes a cup and pours wine and then cuts herself and puts some blood. As soon as she does that, though, obviously all of the dead focus on her and they start to rush. So Juchi and Arestra tried to do body blocks to keep people from the dead from getting to Summer, who has this cup of wine with blood in it, and she's got her hand over it to try to keep control of it that way. So I did a little size. Oh, I should have done the way around. Size plus strength against strength plus dex kind of thing to try to body block, keep people away, and then strength versus strength on trying to get the cup. And somebody got by, I believe it was Juchi, and was able to spill the cup. It falls to the ground. That dead person, drops to the ground, starts licking it up off the ground. More trying to get at it. I'm sure there's others who actually got it, a drink or something there, right? But as we're on the path of silence, your anchor to the real world weakens. And so we went through this little mini game of, okay, you can roll against worship or any rune affinity or any passion to try to walk into the real world, and you're not actually on the path of silence, right? And I see it be frustrating for the players as they're rolling. Some got some specials on the things, and others were successful, but it didn't change. It did not anchor them, right? So they're still drifting, And it says that it gets more difficult over time, and I started to interpret that as, okay, minus 5%, minus 5%, minus 5%. And eventually, though, somebody came around and did fertility, and somebody else did death. And so that was like the 4th round that happened. And they were all successful. So they got anchored. And so, hey, use your, cling to your life or death kind of thing. And so the next round, Miriam made hers, but Summer missed hers. And so Summer was the last one. And we're at this point. I reset the negative counter since she's using the right rune now, but she still had a negative modifier. I think she tried to augment at one point, but eventually she was successful. It wasn't too bad. Just got like a round or 2 more. Okay, so they're all anchored now, so they'll feel a little better. But I can see that being frustrating for the players. What am I trying to do? Well, I don't know. Figure it out. What you're doing is not working. Find something else. Okay. Took me forever to find the Speaking of the Dead. It's a gray box. Just because I knew it was in here somewhere. I had to keep looking back and forth. Okay, so they talk with the dead, and he says, I was fighting the Lunars. I was killed by lunar sorcery at this battle. Okay, we're trying to figure out, okay, so when did this battle occur? Are we before or after? Well, it's got to be before, right? Because it's only been a couple days since they died. But yeah, this is, I don't know about it being an ancient battle, but it was a battle in the past kind of thing. But you got to remember that there's streams of people coming to the path of silence from everywhere. And so it doesn't really mean that if you go back down the path that way, you'll find somebody who recently died. And if you go path that way, that was somebody who died a long time ago, necessarily. So it's one of those things. At that point, they're trying to figure out, because they're asking, hey, do you know Arestra and David? We're looking for them. Here's their description. The dead aren't paying attention. They have no idea. So Miriam decides to cast Summon Ancestor. So he summons a random ancestor who was neutral. Actually, with a low power, so 1d6 plus 1, or 6, d6 plus 6. But he rolled a 6, so that's a 12 power. And he says, we need you to find our friends and bring them here. He goes, I can't bring anybody here. I don't know who they are. So they give a description. Oh, yeah, Miriam had to give the spirit the 12 magic points, though, to get it to agree to do something for them. And it says, okay, I'll go look. And he took off. And that's where we ended the session. So a handful of little mini games, which is actually kind of fun. And some great input from Nick on his Black Spear campaign. And from, well, it wasn't David, or not David, but the inspiration from David Larkin. Sartar, Kingdom of Heroes. Into the pits of hell. Have a good day. Happy gaming.